What will be signs that will take place before the end of the world and the return of Jesus Christ? In Luke 21, Jesus describes some of the signs that would take place. He says in verse 8, watch out that you're not deceived. So he's talking about deception will be a great sign. In fact, the Apostle Paul picks up on this idea and he says there will be an apostasy. That means at the very end of the age, many of the Christian churches that used to be genuine and true, they will fall away from the faith and start teaching heresy and bad doctrine. So he talks about that. He mentions that, verse 9, you will hear of wars and uprisings. So listen, I know some people think that somehow human beings can stop wars. In the end, just like we're not going to be able to stop poverty, we won't be able to stop wars. And we're going to try, but wars will continue to the end. And then he mentions there will be, verse 11, there will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places. Fearful events and great signs from heaven. So we're going to see a lot of terrible things that will take place on the earth. And this is what Jesus is saying is going to happen before his return. And then he mentions an important one in verse 20. He says, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you know that its desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those in the city get out, and let those in the country not enter the city. For this is the time of punishment and fulfillment of all that has been written. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. There will be great distress in the land and wrath against this people. He's speaking about Israel. They will fall by the sword and will be taken as prisoners to all nations. Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So Jesus is predicting the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. And that did take place in 70 AD. You can read about how Titus the general surrounded the city. And there was a reprieve where they backtracked and left the city. And that's when Christians remembered the words of Jesus and they fled the city. But then they came back and surrounded the city once again. And eventually they starved the people to death. They were so hungry that they were asking for children to be boiled and to be killed so that they can eat their bodies. This is what Jesus meant about nursing women. And it became a terrible time. And of course, the greatest catastrophe up to that time took place in Jerusalem, with more Jews dying at one time than any other time. They all died in such a short period. And Jerusalem was destroyed. The temple was torn down. So to this day, there's not one wall that remains in Jerusalem.